What is that one thing that can transform this world? That one thing is education.
At Sai University, this active interdisciplinary model represents the future of education, not the mugging, rather thought-provoking ideas that stretch the mind and lead to a genuinely educated person who will go through life being able to seize new opportunities, create new businesses, and confront new challenges.
Sneha Chowdhury, Soumya Gandhi,
Utkarsh Kumar, Abhishek Jain.
We are all proud to be a part of Sai University.
Gentlemen, namaste and a very warm welcome to all of you to the Blub World Web Talks 147th episode. In the last 146 episodes, we have talked to, interacted with more than 2,500 school leaders from across the globe on this very platform, shared their ideas, opinions, innovations, and what all new are they doing in the school space. Blub World Web Talks as a platform is a bilingual platform, so you can use English or Hindi during the complete call. But try sticking to these two languages, because if you use a third language, we won't get it. Try sticking to these two. Most importantly, this is not a speaking marathon. This is a speaking sprint. ये 100 मीटर की रेस है. So there would be a limited time for you to speak. And once your time is over, you might get muted. If you get muted, please don't get offended. It is just to finish this activity on time and to keep the format enjoyable. And so that you enjoy the next 60 minutes, try sharing it with us. Your expertise, your experience, and a little bit of भविष्यवाणी, थोड़ा सा future foretelling या crystal gazing, जो हम आपसे जानने समझने की कोशिश करेंगे that how is the world around us changing with the pandemic coming in, and we are hopeful that someday we'll say a goodbye to it. With that in mind, how do we think that education, careers, professions, and lives of all of us will be changing in the future? A very warm welcome to all of you once again to the Blub World Web Talks 147th episode, and let's talk about the post-COVID career trends. जब ये कोविड चला जाएगा, जिसकी हमें बहुत ज्यादा उम्मीद है, तब ये किस तरीके से हमारी जिंदगियों को इम्पैक्ट करेगा. This is what we'll try to understand from you. We have an amazing lineup of speakers, जिसमें से कुछ हायर एजुकेशन से हैं, कुछ स्कूल एजुकेशन से हैं, but majorly from school education, because आपके पास में बच्चों के वो साल हैं. You have those amazing years of every child when he really evolutes from just an individual to a complete society, or as a personality that impacts the society. So let's try knowing it from you that what will be the post-COVID career trends. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Let me invite the first speaker for today to set the ball rolling, to put things in context, and with a little bit of retrospect to how will we be forecasting the future. A very warm welcome to Dr. Siddharth S., Assistant Professor of Philosophy from Sai University, Chennai. Siddharth ji, over to you for the next 4 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity, and good evening, everybody. I'll quickly get to the task at hand. And we all know that the pandemic has had a profound impact on almost all aspects of our life, including the economy. It is thus expected that the workplace and the careers on offer and the way the job market has changed would also reflect the impact of the pandemic. I want to quickly highlight three important ways in which the pandemic, I think, would impact the workplace and the future of work itself. First, and perhaps the most obvious, is the flexibility that is going to be on offer with respect to location, at least for certain kinds of jobs. While working from home has become the norm in some of the industries, at least specifically the technology industry, during the pandemic, it is likely that partial remote working would become the norm even after the pandemic is behind us. And as we can see, various large technology companies have already indicated that they would be moving to a model where a section of their workforce would always be working from home or would be working remotely. And this is likely to have a significant impact on the availability of opportunities, and geography would become a lesser of a constraint, both within a country and perhaps even across countries. And it is also likely to be more competition for jobs, which is something people entering job markets will have to keep in their mind. But I think the most important impact of this is that it is going to shift focus on three critical skills, at least three skills, I think. One is, of course, communication. Second is problem solving skills. And the third is project management and time management skills. These have been in focus for a while, but I think these are going to be increasingly in focus in the post-pandemic world. Okay, the second point, which sort of builds on the first point, is that in general, I think organizations, it's likely that they are going to focus lesser on specific roles and more on skills. This, I think, is because research shows that organizations themselves find that the roles keep evolving. So hiring for a specific role with a very narrow skill set is not going to help, and they are going to look at more general skills that could be used across roles, which opens up a lot of opportunities for people. And hence, graduates and people entering the job market ought to be encouraged to develop these skills. And here again, I think critical thinking skills and communication skills are the key, and they really are skills which would be used across roles and are not specific to specialized and niche roles. And the third point, I think, is something that again we have been seeing with the development in technology and digital space, but I think it's going to become even more prevalent after the pandemic, is the increased opportunities in the gig economy. So I'm not sure how familiar people are with the term gig economy. The gig economy refers to an on-demand and freelance and task-based opportunities. For example, if someone is skilled in programming or in making music or even in teaching, they need not necessarily be affiliated with a particular organization. They can rather go freelance and associate with various organizations on a need basis. And this opens up a wide variety of opportunities for people. And this is going to increase with the prevalence of remote working and the infrastructure that supports remote working as well. Once again, to thrive in the gig economy, one needs to be equipped with more than just the specific skills. They need very good program management skills, and most importantly, very good communication skills to reach out to potential clients and let them know about the services that they can provide. So these are the three sort of points that I wanted to make in terms of how the future of work is going to change after the pandemic or on account of the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siddharji. I think you gave a very apt starting to the complete conversation here. Let me summarize what you said. You started with the COVID impact on the workplace, because when we look at professions, when we look at careers, the final aim is to try to define the kind of a workplace or workspace that we want to finally have ourselves in. You talked about three factors. First, geographical flexibility. We'll be working remotely. Geography won't be a constraint anymore when we do a lot of hiring. Second, communication, problem solving, and project management, which are right now some of the most critical skills that everybody needs within an organization. From a role-driven hiring model to a skill-driven hiring model, because right now, one thing that we know for sure, that roles evolve at a much faster pace, and what we need is skills. So we should always be looking at the kind of deliveries that we want rather than defining people from their JDs, which used to be the norm. Finally, we will move upon the increased opportunities in the gig economy. Yes, gig economy is something that's right now really creating a lot of buzz, and most importantly, this is creating a lot of employment at the same time, which is not permanent. There's a loss of security in the gig economy, but there's a influx of opportunity and flexibility in that same space of on-demand skills and task-based opportunities. Thank you so much, Siddharji, for sharing your perspective to the discussion. Let me invite the next speaker for today. Beyond this point, we'll be typically talking to school leaders, people who are running school systems. So let's try to know from them what's their perspective on the post-COVID career trends. Because when we go into the school level, the only careers that parents realize, or the teachers or the school ecosystem realizes, is either medical or engineering. And that's where things get stuck, because we want to keep our options open. And that's where I think that mentality would now need a major shift, because skilling has become the focus. Hiring has changed. We cannot leave all the options open for a career that we want to have in a very specialized field. Let me invite the next speaker, Mrs. Shaila Rajgopalan, Principal, Mercy Vidya Mandir Senior Secondary School from Hosur, Tamil Nadu. I'm over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome. Shaila.
Jai Gurudev and good evening. I'm about to tell a story. The story goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a great saint, and the saint was so good that he never saw anything bad in anything. So even that was a challenge to people around him. And one of his disciples thought that this is the time to find out and blame his master. And then he said that, please come for dinner. And the saint agreed. So the saint agreed. This disciple, a little naughtier, took him through a very, very, bad kind of roads. And there was a very old dog which had died 4 or 5 days earlier, and it's smelling very bad. And under those circumstances, he said, now tell me one thing good about this place. And the saint said, why, the dog's white teeth is purer than the purest. Doesn't it look so nice? I have tried in my life to find good things all around me, but I failed many times in my life. In this situation of pandemic, where everything around us seems depressing, seems, very volatile situation sometimes. But under those circumstances, it is time for us to build faith, to build a career for children where they know what to do and how to do. Today, amongst this situation where unemployment is skyrocketing and people do not know what to do, they are locked away in their homes, which is very new. There are questions posted in the media, posted among many friends. Why can't these people stay at home and stop Corona? But then that is impossible. We are human beings. We love to meet. We love to talk to each other. We love to know things. Today, this webinar, which is happening, is again a place, a platform to make people understand that we are together. So I would prefer to speak about two major career opportunities which would come in future. Robert Frost said in Road Not Taken, I took one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. There are roads everywhere. But today, we are more stuck with software-related professions. As Siddharth sir was talking about digital technology and the geographical space is becoming less. Today, we have to pay more attention on human psychology. And a study of WHO says that there are only 7 psychologists in a few million. And as it was just said.
Thank you so much, Sela ma'am. The 3 minutes were over, but we'll try to come back to the format limits us to that time. So let me summarize what you said. You started with the story of the saint who tried to view everything positive around him. Even with the dead dog's corpse, he was finding positivity in life. And I think that's typically the secret of our life as well, trying to find the bloom within the gloom, because that's where everything finally comes to an end. And that's where we find our next opportunity to engage ourselves, taking the road less traveled, paying more attention on human psychology. I think that's a very important aspect which must not be missed within the discussion, because at the moment we are looking at human skills rather than skills that technology can overtake. We must really evaluate our teaching on this very principle that if technology can do it, don't teach it. If technology cannot do it, that's what you need to teach. I think that's where the psychology or wisdom becomes very, very important in our teaching, in our education, which we need to focus on. Thank you so much, Sela ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Dr. Vasanthi Thiagarajan, correspondent and principal, Shishya School from Hosur, Tamil Nadu. Vasanthi ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio and a very warm welcome.
A very warm welcome to all the dignitaries on the days here, virtual days at that. First of all, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to discuss an issue which is very dear to the hearts of all principals, especially those of us in high school, senior secondary school. I would look at this as from a broader perspective that though our children are not yet ready for jobs because they haven't crossed the, the threshold of their senior secondary, But we have to look at students who have reached what we call employability capacities. So it is very essential that we have to look at the challenge that this has brought about in terms of the physical proximity that's challenging jobs around. But our children in our schools are more or less connected with skills other than you pointed out the engineering or the commerce or the medical group. It doesn't matter what of the academics is happening. The responsibility of using 21st century skills and tweaking them to get our children ready, future ready, is very, very important. They have a college to go into, and there's very little we can do about that choice right now. But what we can do and what is in our hands is probably taking, giving attention to those very critical 21st century skills, which is the buzzword right now. And these have to be redefined. The skills do, but they have to be redefined. So whether you talk about critical thinking or let's take communication, effective communication at that, and now with an e-platform is the focus that has to happen. Collaboration is very essential, and that's a skill we are supposed to nurture in school. And this collaboration, we have to do it on an e-platform. So it's a question of the teachers rather, looking at the e-tools that are available at our disposal and actually enabling. We become enablers now of these skills for our children. Creativity, critical thinking, you name any of those skills, and you have those literacy skills which are so important, like the media or information literacy. Or if you look at the flip skills, as they're called, people talk about flexibility being a skill, leadership which has to be built up. We cannot give up on all this, no matter what the situation is outside this virtual classroom. So children taking initiative, children taking responsibility. And when we talk about work and careers and ethics in the profession, I think now, like never before, ethics and integrity have been challenged for us, for our children, because they do all their exams online. So these skills that we talk so much about are all being, they're being provided as opportunities for our children. And how do we hone them? So it's not that there's going to be some course or whatever. We'll have to ensure that we embed these skills into our teaching learning plans with our children. And all the e-platforms today are very well equipped. If you talk about any of the platforms we wish to, it's all of.
Thank you so much, Vasanthi ma'am. Let me summarize what you said. You started with using the 21st century skills. I think what all the different components of education that we thought were extra co-curricular are right now part of the curriculum. So the curriculum has expanded, the syllabus has expanded. We have to think on communication, collaboration, and you talked also about the flip skills of flexibility and leadership. And at the same time, what we are right now all trying to, typically put our minds to is integrity and work ethics. Because evaluation assessments have taken a completely new turn when we do it online, when we do it through electronic platforms for right now enabling education in all its formats. So at this point, skills which were never talked about, which were not even considered skills, they were considered values or as part of value education, has now become a skill. So the terminology of things has changed. So now the pedagogy has to also try to align itself to it. And we have to think on ways where the co-curricular stuff becomes part of the actual real curriculum. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your perspective. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Dr. Dakshinayani Kanna, founder DK Education, the founder director of Harvest International School from Bengaluru, Karnataka. Dakshinayani ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio and a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Daksh. People who already spoke have covered most of the skills that are required today. And basically, you are talking about the careers that would happen or that are important after the school. As Vasanthi ma'am rightly put it across, we need to identify those things that would be required for future and try to upgrade that into our pedagogy. And when we are doing this pedagogy building, basically we talk about 3 different kinds of skills that are required today. One is, of course, life skills for the children to be mentally and physically healthy. What are the things that children need to do right now? So they need to take care of themselves, to take care of their learning. So their independent decision making, as all the panelists today said, that they need to be taught how to manage themselves. So self-management skills, I would put it first, that this whole generation needs to know all more so because of pandemic, because they need to manage themselves. We normally take life skills, livelihood skills, as well as vocational skills together when we do a training for teachers as well as students. So when we are looking at this 21st century skills, whether it's going to be a doctor, engineer, or anybody else, because today healthcare workers are in demand. So all kinds of healthcare workers have to be given opportunity to become more. All medical colleges should increase and come up with different kinds of courses. So everywhere this 21st century skill becomes very, very important. Second thing we need to teach them, as you rightly said, values, ethics, integrity comes as a package here, because children will be doing everything on their own. They have taken the responsibility. They have to be taught that they need to have integrity in whatever they do. They're answerable for themselves. Whatever proctoring you have, whatever online exams you're doing, they need to be taught how to be, ethical in whatever they do. That's the second thing. And the third thing that we need to actually talk about is leadership skills, and also taking responsibility for themselves and also for others who are going to be around them. So these have to be there. As in the beginning, the professor said that we are looking at a changing economy, this gig economy that is both positive and negative, because children need to know how to use technology properly. And secondly, this gives a lot of opportunities. Unless they're extremely good, they will not be able to get into gig economy or being available as a freelancer. Who will take somebody who is not good? So whatever they're learning, they need to be told that they have to be an expert. They have the choice, they can choose, and they'll have to take care of this. So all these main points that I'm talking about are very important. They should be a part of lesson plan, annual plan. So we need to get into that level.
Thank you so much, Dakshinayani ma'am. I'll summarize what you said. You started with life skills, independent decision-making, livelihood skills and vocational skills, trying to balance both of them at the same time. Healthcare becoming a major employment market in the coming times. Taking responsibility and having onus of what they're doing. And finally, I think the most important point within the complete conversation is being extremely good at what you're doing. Most of our human lives, the way we had it, the way the complete generation has it, we try to find the level where we become incompetent first. That's the highest level that we can reach to in our lives. And second, where we can get relaxed or laid back. But when we talk of a multi-career life, will the next generation ever be able to sit back? That's a big question, because when we talk of the gig economy and when we talk of all the new things that are happening, they'll keep all the children or all of the complete next generation on their toes throughout. And I think that will have a big fatigue effect, which we also need to bring into the complete discussion. Thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mrs. Nisha Anil John, Vice Principal, Union Christian Public School from Chetpet, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Nisha ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Hi all, happy to see you all. I just had to see you all in the poster. Now I'm seeing all of you right in front of me. So as the title suggests, it is the career option post-COVID pandemic. And I should tell, it is the digital media that has emerged after the pandemic. So we need to focus more on digitalizing things, and even teaching, online tutoring, be it music that is taught, or be it any other skills that is taught. All the other persons, whatever they related, I could easily attach with all these skills being developed. Anything that happened, so now right now the pandemic, it may be something else later, but the education is something which should never end. So just like how we are going on with online classes, offices are working remotely, all these, the digital media is something which is emerging. That is what I feel. And even marketing, digital marketing is in high rise now. People with just one click of a button, they can order things at home. So there are various roles that a person who is pursuing a digital media course or something like that can opt for. So that is what I feel nowadays has more scope of getting jobs. Another thing is web designing. that something which, because as a teacher, when we started the online classes, we had to check with many online platforms to check the control of the children and what all, even collecting materials from them, any other polling option or anything which while we are teaching, what all we have to include in that particular digital platform, only a digital designer can do. So most of the schools have resorted to these type of including more content or designing or restructuring their website, which is highly beneficial to go on with the classes. So that is something, web designing or digital designing, which is going to be on high demand later. So I think I have covered, as far as I am concerned, and even somebody already told psychology. The children are going through so many problems now. So there should be, even I know as a teacher, we also can help, but I don't think we won't be having that much of training or professionalism like a psychologist does. So that is another area which is on the rise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nishaji. I think you've talked about a lot of skills that you might be teaching at your school, or which is something that everybody should focus on, because that's where the market is right now, seeing a lot of job opportunities getting created. Whether we talk of digital media, digital marketing, e-tailing has become a very big market. So we now need to understand how are people buying things over the internet. And when they buy things over the internet, what is the kind of a psychological decision-making that happens throughout the complete conversation. Web designing, and finally graphic designing, because content development, I think, is a major area of employment and major area of engagement in the coming times that we all see. So thank you so much, ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Dr. V.R. Venigala, the CEO for the GMH Group of Institutions from Karnataka. Dr. Venkata, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm.
Sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, and thank you, Blub, for giving me opportunity to share my experience. See, I want to take this time to take live experience in our school and college, what we are doing. First, I want to start like this generation students are G-Gen. They are G-generation students. So they are born after internet, after digital, after Facebook, after Twitter, and all this. So they have knowledge, and they are born after that. They are having more knowledge than our generation. So now, what is the future after this post-pandemic? Is like maximum, after reading a lot of researches, all the university, schools or college buildings will become empty. So all of us should get ready for that. So here, every week I take feedback from our students, how our teachers are teaching and everything. Now I will tell you a live example. Like, so all the students are telling we are able to understand our classes better than our offline classes, because see, we have trained our teachers. We have trained our teachers in such a way, like we have trained them in digital skills. We have trained them in PowerPoint, multimedia, animation, and also we train them in acting. So we train them how to speak with camera, how to imagine students by seeing camera, how to imagine class by seeing camera. So a lot of different skills should be taught to the teachers. And also our teachers are now became experts in taking online classes. So they are doing a lot of HD presentations, and they are attracting the students. And we are giving points for every class. We take feedback from the students, and we are managing the points, and we are encouraging them with incentives and everything. So our teachers are doing better than our offline classes in online classes. And in future, definitely all the students are trying to adopt online classes now. See, all the students are adopting. Even we ask all the students to be in video when we are taking the class while we are observing. And it's also advantageous for all the teachers. Like even parents are guiding the students along with the teacher. So teacher job became very easy nowadays, because along with parents, we all together like a family members, we are able to take the classes. And there are in future, I think recently I can give one more example. Some of our students wrote online examination for big universities like Vellore VTU, or like Vellore Institute of Technology, VIT. Okay, so one of our student, all of our student have arranged one mobile beside the laptop, and this examination was monitored by artificial intelligence. And this artificial intelligence only you should see down to your book and see up to your camera. So one of the camera will be observing where you are solving the problem. One of the camera will be observing what you are doing. So in such a way, a lot of
Thank you so much, sir. The 3 minutes were over, but you added some amazing points to the discussion. I think you brought in a completely opposing point of view in the discussion, because in the last many discussions, what the kind of content and the kind of views that we have got from most of the school leaders is that teaching has been impacted, teachers are tired, but you say they are getting better. And I think that could be a result of extensive training to them, because yes, if you can actually train a teacher to visualize an audience or a student from within that camera lens, I think you've reached quite a lot of in a successful state when you try to teach them. And yes, one thing that I think is kind of a crystal gazing, and I would like to know the opinions of all the other speakers on the call as well, that will education institutions as buildings become empty? Or how would the business model or the working model or the operational model of education institutions change in the coming times? And when we talk of improved efficiency in the online classroom, that's something, again, that's a point of discussion that can be taken ahead, and we can again have opinions, because this is something that has a complete spectrum of views. People are, from the negative point of it to the positive point of it, people are poles apart. So we'll have to again delve deeper into it. And I think AI powered examination, AI monitored examination is something that we are right now, a lot of institutions are doing. And I think integrity is being taken care of by the camera, but we'll have to find better ways of developing integrity in the student, because as an examination, as an assessment, the camera can help, but in life that camera won't be helping. So we need people who have that integrity, who have that wisdom within themselves. So thank you so much, Venkata, for adding the perspective in the discussion. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mr. Mohammad Azhar, founder principal of Knowledge Academy School from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Mohammadji, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
A very good evening, and thank you, Blub World, for inviting me. And thanks for everyone being here. So my discussion would be like the post-pandemic careers. Now, let me give a sample what is there right now. Okay. Now, in terms of technology, we have experienced what nobody would have imagined. The education of school will be in online, given the infrastructure is there. Okay. So that is something which is happening right now. Number two, the artificial intelligence automation is happening in the industry. So what is one artificial intelligence? Like teachers has been at a mundane task. All the mundane task has been replaced in the school, in education, in every industry for that matter. Like automatic attendance system, you have RFT, geo fencing of children where the child can be located, and tracking of bus. All these things have been automated, which was a mundane task. Like billing, everything has been automated now, even the financial aspects and everything. Now, can we replace a teacher? Yes, even the mundane task is also replaced by a teacher. If you look at it, one of the aspect right now which is happening, the videos of the classes, as well as one school in Bangalore has brought a teacher who is a robot, right, delivering the content. Okay, the team of the school itself has invented a robot instead of a teacher, right? So this is what is happening now. Automatic corrections is already happening, where the child scanned and automatically using artificial intelligence, the correction is happening and marks are given, right? So this is what is happening now. What is available in the industry, education industry? Yes, hybrid model of working, where online universities will come, which is already there in foreign, and India it is already started. Like in Chennai, we have 2-3 universities offering online courses. Bharatiya University and Madras Christian College, and various universities have started offering online courses now. Now, given that the school education will become a hybrid model, where you have online classes and offline classes as well as. Now, what will be the requirement of any career for that matter is 21st century skill. The focus is all will be skill building. It's not about degrees, it's not about PhDs. Now you have all the companies, the big companies, they don't even care whether you have a degree or not, but they are ready to care if you have a talent and skill, right? So what is the main skill we can as a focus, and what is that is being required? Unlearn, relearn, unlearn, relearn. This is the life, making them lifelong learners. As a school, we can focus on 21st century school, which is becoming a lifelong learners, which is already started in most of the schools and yet to take a huge turn. That will come up with the assessment, where assessment is being done on daily basis, not on only on examination. So that is what is going to change. Now bringing experts and bringing experts to the classrooms and wherever, whichever, without any.
Thank you so much, sir. So before I invite the next speaker, let me summarize what you talked about. You talked about complete online education without the right infrastructure. This is something that we never imagined, but this happened because COVID came on to us, and it was never something that was planned or was within the complete plan of it. So mundane tasks getting automated, even teaching getting automated to some extent, because people are right now trying, teaching through robots or via robots. Even in China, when we talk about this, there are news reporters who are typically AI generated images that you see on a screen. Automatic corrections, online universities, school education will have to be hybrid, because with these kind of children, we do not have active learners. We have to transform them during the school life from a passive learner to an active learner. So that's something that we'll have to focus on while we remodel the complete school as an institution. And I think the most important point within the complete conversation is teaching them the skill of unlearning and relearning, or trying to give them an understanding of how do you break your own prejudices and move ahead in life and try to learn new and new things. Because as humans, what we try to do is we try to build our life with blocks. Okay, this is the block that I'm sorted with. Let's never look at it again. And that's what would not be working in the future. You won't be able to compartmentalize life or have blocks on which you can rely on. But there's something with this very aspect, it's really disturbing at the same point. It's kind of a paradox. We are trying to create a much more relaxed life for humans, or a much more hectic life for them is going to be a question that comes out of it. Thank you so much for adding the perspective. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mrs. Rukmani Neshta, the principal from Sindhi Model Senior Secondary School from Chennai. Rukmani ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Namaste and a very good evening to one and all. Yes, I do agree that the COVID-19 has created long-lasting changes the way we live and the way we work. The crisis has boosted innovation with the emergence of brand new ideas. The crisis has caused an acceleration in adoption of technologies, and we call this phase as the tech acceleration. COVID has changed the demography of careers. The career trends includes software developers, artificial intelligence, robotics, technology, cloud computing, hospital engineers, health segment, digital influencers, and the lot. The demand for workers in STEM medicine and software developers has increased, which is an indicator of the future trend. Now, changing demography in careers has created a demand for a changed skill set. And with this demand, employees had to reskill or upskill to stay relevant. Moreover, expertise in a single area is no longer sufficient for survival. One needs to explore and adapt to more than one area to increase their employability scope. Let me quote an example which I found very interesting and read in the Hindu, where auto drivers who have lost their source of income have joined a private conservancy operator and have taken to sweeping jobs by operating battery-operated vehicles. COVID-19 has propelled faster adoption of technology, especially artificial intelligence, which is there in most of the working arenas. AI is already there in your smartphones, your laptops, and all the other gadgets in and around in our homes. In industries, it helps in increasing the business, sales, also detect fraud, and also improve on customer experience. And the most important being provide predictive analysis, creating job opportunities for data analytics and machine learning. AI can help health service providers with better tools for early diagnosis, The health department is looking at new and better way for delivering medical products, and they are looking at drones. The hospitals are also reconfiguring themselves to deliver the hospital systems to the patient's home to reduce the risk of infection. And this shift in approach has multiplied opportunities in the drone industries and, of course, the delivery industries that has been linked with it. COVID-19 has also left a mark in the field of medicine, where researchers have pioneered in new techniques in development of vaccines, producing vaccines within months rather than years. The mRNA vaccines are the new types of vaccines. The pandemic has enhanced the role of a genetist. I think this is very, very interesting, because his basic responsibility is to identify diseases a person might get affected in future and to act upon it even before the symptoms can appear. I think we'll have to be prepared for further pandemics of this kind. Online teaching being the order of...
Thank you so much, Rukmini ma'am. The 3 minutes are over. To summarize what you said, crisis typically accelerated innovation, what we all call the tech acceleration that happened due to COVID. A lot of technology came into the market and a lot of humans lost jobs. And now humans are finding new ways to align themselves with technology and finding a career within that space or within that arena where technology and humans finally meet. You talked about two very important things where data analytics, machine learning becomes important, where we talk about predictive analysis. That's where technology has taken humans a little far ahead when we talk of predictive medicine at the same time, because we're trying to predict what kind of diseases we'll be having, the kind of medication that we'll be needing. But with the same predictions coming into play, are we even predicting what kind of humans will we be needing in the future? Because now with technology there, the need for humans is evolving. Thank you so much, Rukmini ma'am. Let me invite the next speaker for today, Mrs. Vijayalakshmi Chandrakant, Principal, Agrawal Vidyalaya from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Vijayalakshmi ma'am, over to you for the next 3 minutes. Please unmute your audio, and a very warm welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for having me over. Moving straight away to the topic. COVID-19 has accelerated few broad trends that may reshape work after pandemic. Before pandemic, the largest disruption to work involved new technologies and growing trade links. But for the first time, COVID-19 has elevated the importance of physical dimension of work. When we reflected on what the pandemic is, really changing, but what matters most were the physical characteristics of a job. Ultimately, looking into occupation perspective, the network is here today. The automation is accelerating. E-commerce is going down. All this indicates that the mix of available jobs will change the result, creating more urgency for training students for the change ahead. Job goals are concentrated in high-score jobs, and middle and lower score jobs are declining. Technical experts are needed. Photographers demand increase the visual need of communication. Nurses, hearing technicians, and teachers and training instructors will continue to find work in the coming decades. Companies now and future may use hybrid remote work because they are comfortable working from home. Office people, they are used to work from home, and companies feel that work from home, they can extract more work from them, and it is cost saving for the company too. So my advice to the children will be, if they focus on building skills for jobs that are growing industries such as healthcare, tech, engineering, science, and logistics, it will be more useful for them. We are entering into an era of occupational transition. So a good news in that is there is also a high growth in jobs that require social emotional skills such as negotiation, influencing, and decision making, and may see new positions coming up such as remote work coordinators. I think this is the best way to increase the demands of the students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vijayalakshmi ma'am. Let me summarize what you said. We need different kind of trained people now in the skilling or the career arena. We need middle and lower scale jobs will typically be diminishing. That's what's currently happening, because we now have to talk about higher order skills, or the skills that technology cannot do, or things that technology cannot do. Jobs which involve an exchange of knowledge, taking care, or will have a socio-economical or socio-emotional aspect to it will keep increasing, will keep having more and more opportunities. Most importantly, a job of a remote work coordinator. This is something that has sprung up in all the organizations across the world, because now when we go online and when we are not in a physical space, coordination has become a task in itself, which needs specialized people. So now, thank you so much, ma'am, for adding this perspective to the discussion. Now we've listened to all the speakers for once. The next 3 to 4 minutes is an open floor. If you got muted, if you want to add something to the discussion, if you want to say something that you could not say, give a comment about anything that you have heard during the discussion, this is your time. You can unmute your audio, speak out, and it's an open floor for the next 2 to 3 minutes. If you want to add something, you can unmute, you can raise your hand or give me a kind of a signal, and you can speak out. I think Mohammadji wants to speak something. Mohammadji, over to you.
Yeah. So what I like to add is whatever that we are making them to become a lifelong learners, not only learners, but the only thing is they need to become the mastery of that field. That will give them added advantage to explore their careers and passion. That's one thing which I want to add in that. And bringing experts to the classroom is becoming easy for.
Bringing experts to the classroom, because we now need to create experts. I think Siddharthji wants to add something. Siddharthji, over to you.
Thank you, sir. One point that I wanted to sort of add on and build on was, see, with increased opportunity and increased remote working, what we also notice is we are going to be working with very different kinds of people. So students of today would be working with very different kinds of people. So that requires a certain training and a framework where they develop an attitude of empathy and learn to appreciate diversity and work with people from different cultures, and with people who they might not, kinds of people who they might not have met earlier. So I think that is one skill or an attitude that students need to develop with time. So I just wanted to add that.
Absolutely. We would need that kind of a new attitude development with all the students that we have. If anybody wants to add something, you can unmute yourself and put your points forth, because this is an open floor in the discussion right now. Yes, Vasanthi ma'am, over to you, please.
I just wanted to add on that when it comes to careers and
ma'am, your volume is quite low. You have to speak a little louder.
Yeah. Is my voice audible now?
Yeah, please.
So I just want to add a point here that when we're talking about skills, which so many people on our panel so beautifully brought out, another aspect that we can do in senior secondary where our children are getting ready to leave would be probably working on their self-awareness and their SWOT skills and a little bit of job shadowing. Because children should examine jobs the way they exist today, and then they know, are they future ready or not? So identifying where I am to where I want to go and doing it through my SWOT with a little support from the school would be truly helpful. I would really recommend a lot of job shadowing happening now. Thank you.
Job shadowing, career canvassing, or trying to build a kind of a drawing of the kind of future that you
something. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
It should be a lot of stress should be given on introspection, trying to understand yourself more than the market, because then you need to adapt better. I think Vijayalakshmi wants to add something. Vijayalakshmi, over to you.
So there is a small suggestion, like children should be educated, students should be educated to handle situations like pandemic. So this is a best experience we have faced, like, and they should not get upset with the situation. They should be taught to handle the situation, and this is very important for their career too.
Right. I think crisis management, whenever you fall into a ditch, you must be able to relearn or try to revamp yourself as a personality, as a person, so that you can adapt to things that are going around you. Over to Dakshinayani ma'am, please.
Thank you, Daksh. One thing that I would like to add here is students should be able to understand what are the resources that they've got and use them judiciously. We need to make them realize that resources today are very, very important, and amongst the resources that they've got, they should be able to use it productively. That's one skill we need to teach.
Right, resource analysis and resource utilization. This is something that we need to teach them as part of the curriculum now, because we have to, at any point of time, and now with the COVID coming in, this is something that we have to do nearly every day. We have to reevaluate our resources that we have so that we can use them to the optimal level. Thank you so much. Over to Shaila, ma'am. Ma'am, over to you. You can unmute yourself.
It has come to stay now. All our lives have changed. So what I would suggest is give them emotional resilience in some form or the other. There is a career for storytelling and psychology, which would enhance the resilience among the children, because they have been away from schools. Peer learning is not happening. So a way should be drawn up to give them more of peer learning, which is not happening and which is hindering their learning abilities.
Absolutely. Understanding and delving more deeper into the student's psyche. Over to Rukmini, ma'am. Please unmute yourself, ma'am.
See, embracing technology is inevitable these days. Without technology, we cannot exist, and the pandemic has proved already. I wanted to tell you this, like the virtual labs which has come into existence during this pandemic times was the most exciting part. These virtual labs provide a fearless platform where children can explore and experiment. Whereas in the real labs, a lot of security issues will be there. I think virtual labs is a terrific hit amongst the students. And of course, software developers are in very great demand because we need these apps to make our life easy. And of course, pandemic has rightly been pointed out by the other speakers, has taught us how to work with the constraint on resources. And I'm sure it has also helped us in respecting others. So there is more of humane that has been instilled during this pandemic times. Thank you.
Virtual laboratories, this is something that a lot of universities are right now even developing and trying to share the resources with a lot of schools. I think SRM is also doing that in Chennai, and they're doing it very well. They've created a virtual lab that they're sharing with the schools around them. I think Nisha ma'am wants to add something. Nisha ma'am, over to you.
Hi all, I just want to add something. Since youngsters are more into social media and things like that, social media marketing is something that can emerge in the future. Any branding, any organization want to reach out to the public, social media will be the best option available, where they will have a set of viewers, or they can create a platform where people can be familiar with what they are doing, so that the brand name can be given more importance, and all those and all the campaigns, like some content ideas that they can share, then some planning, media planning they can share. All these things I feel will be of high scope in the future. Social media and its usage, marketing social media.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Digital media, digital marketing, media, this is an industry that's going to see a rise right now. If we even look at the industry association figures that come out of the media industry, this industry is looking at a year-on-year growth of at least 14 to 16% at this point of time, which is very good for an industry if you look at a volume level. So I think most of the people have already shared their ideas. If you want to still add something, you can unmute yourself. Otherwise, we can go to the conclusion of the talk. I think most of the people have already... okay, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am wants to add. Ma'am, over to you.
Again, this is a small suggestion to the general public, that is for the business and the government leaders to come together and create support to navigate this post-pandemic situation.
Yeah, industry, academia coming together to navigate through the situation, because now it's more about collaboration and it's very less about competition. We have to think more and more ways to, exchange our resources so that the final goal is achieved as early as possible. Rukmini ma'am, you want to add something? You can.
I just wanted to add this, the digital platform, the digital channels that has really encouraged housewives, who have took on to the, trading, online trading, catering, and marketing their products. They have become the most real successful entrepreneurs. And most of the talent, it's getting exposed and people are getting to know about each other well. So the digital technology, the digital platforms is something that, again, has lots of scope for better earnings. I wanted to add that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship actually coming out of homes. So this is nearly the end of the call because we're concluding the time. So thank you so much everyone for joining in. But before we end this call, let me tell you about a kind of a prophecy that we won't say it a prophecy, but some crystal gazing that one of the history writers who's right now acclaimed across the globe for writing a book called Homo Sapiens, reimagining or rewriting the history of humans or humans as a race. He has done a small prediction in his last TED talk. He said that during history, whenever you try to understand human evolution, you'll always find that when we try to flourish or when we try to create a lot of wealth or resources for ourselves, we always create a big class of humans that won't be achieving their full potential. In the initial days, it was peasants or slaves. In the coming times, it was farmers. Then it came to a class that we are right now enjoying, which is the middle class that typically tries to bridge the gap. He said one such class is right now in the making when we talk of technology. And that class is something that adds a lot of fear into the complete thinking process of ours, because that's what he says, and I'm trying to quote his words, that within the next 30 years, the class that won't be able to achieve the maximum of their potential and will have the biggest population in the world will be a class of useless humans. Because technology will take over, and it is taking over, and we'll have to find uses for those humans whom we don't need anymore. Because we have to think, are we only a society that thinks of needs? To keep people inspired, to keep people talking, what we understood after talking to these many school leaders is that when you teach or educate, it cannot now be done with facts and figures. The only thing that can keep the complete classroom together is inspiration. And that's on what BloveWorld works on. So we work on a simple concept of teens inspiring teens. Every month we find a teenager who's doing amazingly well in life and try to share their stories with many more teens. So one such story for all of you before this call comes to an end. This is a story of a teenager who lives in the US, is an Indian-American scientist now. She did a research to make a device that could assess the lead in water and give you the analysis over a Bluetooth signal. And that device got awarded a grant of $25,000 US. She right now is a researcher working on many new projects, innovating the medicine space and the world globally. And that's Geetanjali Rao, who was on the cover page of BloveWorld just some months back. And that's what we do every month. Try to find a teenager who's doing amazingly well in their life so that many more teens can get inspired and education could find a new perspective or a new dimension. We would like to invite all of you to help us create the world's first and the biggest parliament of teenagers. We are creating the World Teen Parliament. A very warm welcome to all of you to be a part of the process. We have received support from UNESCO New Delhi office, UNESCO Mahatma Gandhi Institute, and the United Nations Kindness Matters Initiative to be a part of this initiative to make and find 100 teenagers from all across the globe who can change the world. And these 100 teens will be funded by the World Teen Parliament. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of the BloveWorld Web Talks 147th episode. If you enjoyed, and if you want to attend the future sessions, open your audio, say a big yes, and thank you so much, and have an amazing evening ahead. Thank you, people.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Daksh. It was wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. It was a wonderful opportunity.
What is that one thing that can transform this world? That one thing is education.
At Sai University, this active interdisciplinary model represents the future of education, not the mugging, rather thought-provoking ideas that stretch the mind and lead to a genuinely educated person who will go through life being able to seize new opportunities, create new businesses, and confront new challenges.
Sneha Chowdhury, Soumya Gandhi,
Abhishek Jain.
We are all proud to be a part of Sai University.